Hey guys, this is Glasgow video part 2. So for those who haven't seen the first part of the video, go see it now. Basically, in the last video we explored the early history of Glasgow and the importance of the Clyde in the city's development. In today's video we're gonna go back to the city centre, but we're gonna make a few stops on the way. So we'll stop at the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery and the University of Glasgow as well, and a few other stops. But just before we begin the tour, I just wanted to explain a little bit more where I am right now. I'm just in front of the Riverside Museum. You've seen it a little bit in the last video. This museum is otherwise known as the Transport Museum. So inside you'll find models and real-size buses, ships, cars, bikes, every way of transportation really. Like every museum in Glasgow, it's free and you'll ever have the opportunity to go inside a real ship. This is the Glenlee. This ship was constructed in Glasgow and it used to tour around Australia back in the 19th century. But enough about the Clyde and boats and so on. Now we're gonna begin the tour, and first stop will be the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery. Enjoy! So we are now in front of the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery. The building itself was built in 1888 as part of the international exhibition held in Kelvin Grove Park, just behind this building. If you step inside, you will find yourself in one of the best museums in Glasgow. The museum has a total of 22 galleries, housing a range of exhibits, including Renaissance art, taxidermy, and artifacts from ancient Egypt. But my personal favorite is the exhibition on the Glasgow Boys. So the Glasgow Boys were part of the Scottish Art Nouveau movement at the end of the 19th century, and their paintings are just amazing. And if you're not into Scottish painters, don't worry, there's plenty of other stuff to see. One of the best is a painting by Salvador Dali, the Spanish painter. It's called Christ of St. John on the Cross. It's really amazing. So we're just behind the Kelvin Grove Art Gallery now, and this is where we're going, Glasgow University. The University of Glasgow was founded in 1451. It is the fourth oldest university in the English-speaking world, and it's part of the four ancient universities in Scotland, with Edinburgh, Aberdeen and St Andrews. We are now in one of the two inner courtyards of Glasgow University main campus, which is located in the West End. The university was originally located in the city centre in High Street, but it was moved here in 1870. So all the buildings behind me are actually not that old, but they are from the 19th century. So you can pretty much study everything in Glasgow University, and you can say the worst place to get your bachelor or master degree. If the university looks familiar to you, that's maybe because you've seen the Netflix drama Outlaw King. Some scenes were shot in the university courtyard. The film tells the story of Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, and on how he defeated the English to secure Scottish independence, at least for a while.
We fight for God, for honour, for country, for family, for yourselves I do not care, so long as you fight!
Okay, let's go back to the city centre now, to George Square. Alright, so here we are back in the city centre. This is George Square. This is one of the main square in Glasgow. Behind me you can see the Glasgow City Chambers, where the Glasgow City Council is held. The square itself was laid out in 1781 as part of the new planned development of the city, following the model of Edinburgh's new town. Although the square was named after King George III, the big statue in the middle is actually not one of the monarch, but one of a Scottish author, Walter Scott. George Square is also a place for musical events, light shows, ceremonies, and most of all, political gatherings. The square has often been the scene of political protests. Perhaps the most famous was the Battle of George Square in 1919. The war had just ended a few months ago, when skilled engineers campaigning for a 40 hours working week held a rally. We don't know for sure how many people attended the event. Numbers go between 25 and 100,000 people. The meeting descended rapidly into violence after a clash between protesters and tram users. Police then charged into the crowd and many were injured. You might remember that in the last video I mentioned the rise of radical socialism in the city. And it is the city's radical reputation and the raising of the red flag by some present that made the coalition government fear a Bolshevik revolution was afoot. 10,000 troops were deployed in Glasgow alongside 6 tanks. The communist revolution never happened, but to this day the city remains a hub of socialism in the UK. But enough about politics, let's talk about zombies. You might recognize this square even if you've never been to Glasgow. That's because it was featured in World War Z, the zombie movie with Brad Pitt. This was possible because of the resemblance between George Square and Philadelphia's financial district. As I told you at the beginning of the video, George Square was the final destination. The tour is now finished, but please stay tuned on CES Facebook page or Instagram to watch our next videos, and hopefully I will have the chance to take you guys for another tour somewhere else in Scotland. Bye!
Going into another, that is the reason I'm fool. We had 6 Dochin Doruses, then sang a chorus. Just listen, I'll sing it to you. I belong to Glasgow, dear old Glasgow town. But there's something the matter with Glasgow, for it's going round and round. I'm only a common old working lad, as anyone can see.